Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about politics with Joe Dugan, the head of the Myrtle Beach Tea Party, and an upcoming convention that's going to be happening in Myrtle Beach. Stay with us. Carolina This Week starts right now.
This is Carolina This Week. Carolina This Week with Tim McGinnis.
Thanks for joining us. Next weekend, for the third year in a row, the South Carolina Tea Party Convention will happen in Myrtle Beach. Happens to be put on by somebody from our area. Joe Dugan with the Myrtle Beach Tea Party is my guest this morning. We're going to talk about your convention that's coming up next weekend, and I want to talk about some of the things that are happening up in Washington, just around the country right now.
Glad to.
First off, let's talk about the convention. This is the third year you've had it. I'm impressed every time I get to see the roster of who you have coming in to speak. You obviously wield a little bit of power in the Tea Party, not only here in South Carolina, but around the country to draw some big names.
Well, you get to know people who share your values, and I've been very fortunate in meeting some wonderfully dedicated people that really love America and care about the future of our country and future generations.
Now, this is going to be happening at the Spring Maid Resort.
Yes.
Next weekend, which is going to be the 18th through the 20th.
Right.
This is the first year you've gone to 3 days, so
Yes.
obviously you had so much to pack in, you had to add an extra day.
Yeah, we really did. We've had tremendous demand from speakers that wanted to come. And there are so many issues to be covered. The people that come to these conventions are really some of the best educated people in the state. One thing about the Tea Party movement is that these people, they really pay attention to what's happening in Washington and in their states, as well as foreign affairs. And they dig into things. They're reading all the time and digging into the facts and the truth behind some of these issues. So they're a very well-educated audience, and they come up with some fantastic questions for our speakers.
Now you have this 3 days, and each day kind of has its own theme. So Saturday you'll be talking about one thing. Sunday, I believe you told me it's going to be about national issues,
right.
And then on Monday it's going to be kind of South Carolina Day.
Right.
Because Monday is a holiday, and that's a day when you can get a lot of the politicians here in their districts, so you can get them down to Myrtle Beach.
Exactly. I mean, you have to look, in planning these, you have to look out for the best opportunities.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about this first day. Who would you say is who are some of the big speakers that we're going to be hearing from on Saturday the 18th?
Well, there's a lot of things going on Saturday, and for the first time in 2014, we are going to have a live stream, national live stream in Spanish. And so we have a couple of speakers from Bear Witness Central down in Florida who are working to make that happen, and it'll be live streamed from their website in both Spanish and English. And so they're going to be speaking on Saturday. And then, of course, we have Debbie Dooley, who's one of the founders, or is on the board of directors of the Tea Party Patriots, and was one of the founders of the Atlanta Tea Party, which is one of the biggest tea parties in the country. Then authors like Trevor Loudon and Grace Marie Turner will be speaking on Obamacare, and she is a very, very knowledgeable person about this and has studied it for years. And she can really give us some insight into how this all came about and what it portends for the future.
Now, Sunday you have, and I'm just looking over your list here, you have Representative Steve King, who a lot of people know. He's been making some national headlines. He's a congressman out of Iowa.
Yes.
Who else do you have here? Lieutenant Bill Cowan, who, if you watch Fox News, he's a contributor over there.
Right.
You have a lot of, once again, just a lot of big names.
Right. Major General Valerie, who's often on Fox News, or who was often on Fox News. Also, I think we're going to be, the audience will be delighted to hear from Congressman Jim Bridenstine from Oklahoma, who is a young congressman that really gets it. He understands what is going on and has a fantastic military record before he came into
You told me he was he fought in Afghanistan, was a great pilot, and went on to teach Top Gun.
Yeah, he was an instructor at the Top Gun school. Yes. Wow.
And then Sunday, I think for at least for people who watch this show, a lot of people who we've had on here before, Mick Mulvaney, Tom Rice, who's on the program often. A lot of this is South Carolina Day.
Right, right. Jeff Duncan and then we also have some other interesting things going on, well, throughout the convention, but talking about Monday, we are going to have a debate among the candidates who are running in the primary for Lindsey Graham's Senate seat. We have invited Senator Graham, but we have not got a confirmation yet. He's certainly welcome to come. We would love to have him come. But in his absence, the other 4 candidates will be debating and answering some hard questions.
I want to talk to you about upcoming elections a little bit later, including that one. But right now, finishing up with the convention that's coming up. Again, this is at the Spring Maid Resort. If people want to attend, is it too late to get in to be there in person?
I'm afraid it is, Tim. Okay. By the time this airs, we'll be sold out. But we'll provide the internet addresses so that they can watch the entire thing on live stream. It will be also, after it's live streamed, it will be posted on our website, South Carolina, all one word, South Carolina Tea Party Coalition.com, and it will be there for months afterwards, so that you'll be able to pull up individual speakers if you wish to see them.
If you had our website, carolinalive.com, we'll have a story posted there about the convention that's coming up. You can find out where you can go to stream this on your computer at home. So if you can't make it down to the Spring Maid Resort, you can watch it from your living room or your bedroom or wherever you have your computer. So that's a really great, and that's new this year.
We live streamed it last year.
You did live stream.
We did live stream, but only in English.
Okay.
This year it will be in Spanish as well, and it's a great source of education for people that are curious about the issues, things that are happening in Washington and issues in South Carolina as well. We have a couple of other panels on Monday, in addition to the Senate debate. We're going to have a county sheriff's panel, which will be moderated by former Sheriff Ray Nash, who ran for Congress in the 1st Congressional District recently. And we've also invited 3 South Carolina senators to participate in a panel where they'll be asked questions about the terrible last days, frankly, of the South Carolina Senate. When I watched it on TV, and they talk about pizza and just let good bills die. And that needs to be changed. They have an archaic rule there where in the days of horse and buggy, they allowed any senator to block a bill until he got to the Senate because it would take him so long to get there on horseback. Well, you know, we have better modes of travel these days, and one senator should not be able to block a bill that the people in the state want.
Well, a timely discussion to have that as the new session will be kicking off here in just the next week or two. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the broader issues. Remember, if you want to find out more about the convention and how you can watch it online, visit your website, carolinalive.com. I'll be right back with Joe Dugan. Welcome back to Carolina This Week. Joe Dugan with the Myrtle Beach Tea Party is my guest this morning. You're also, I guess, with the South Carolina Tea Party Convention as well, the organizer of that. That's coming up next weekend, one of the big reasons you were in here to talk. But since we have you in here, we'll talk with you about some other issues that the country's facing right now and has been facing. And the big one, I think, right now is health care, Obamacare. And, you know, the Tea Party received a fair amount of criticism, especially the Tea Party members of Congress, in holding up, you know, the government shutdown last year. Both sides are to blame, but it seems like the Republicans that took the blame were the Republicans in the House who have some Tea Party allegiance.
Yes.
Do you feel that?
And I commend every one of them.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you think about the backlash, I guess, to the Tea Party?
Well, I think it's because people aren't educated as to what the Tea Party was trying to say. The Tea Party was trying to say that Obamacare is a disastrous program that increases premiums and has huge deductibles for hardworking middle-class families that they're just not going to be able to afford. And it reduces fees to doctors, places additional regulatory burdens on doctors, where there are going to be a tremendous amount of doctors who are just going to call it quits. And we're going to see a shortage of doctors. And people have gotten spoiled in this country with a free market insurance system where they could make an appointment and within a reasonable amount of time get in to see the doctor of their choice. That's going away. And if you look at countries that have this type of medical care, you go to look at Canada, look at England, people have to wait months for an appointment with just a family doctor, never mind a specialist. And the way that they are treating older people in this Obamacare is absolutely outrageous. You know, the proof of a civilization has always been how it treats its young and how it treats its elderly. And here we're going to have a panel, not even elected officials, making determinations that once somebody reaches 75 years of age, that they're not going to be allowed to have a hip replacement or a heart operation. Where is the kindness and love that has been in the America that I grew up in? America has been successful, and the most successful country in the history of the world, because it embraced people from all over this world who came to this country looking for freedom and opportunity. And those people were able to succeed. The Constitution says that there will be equal opportunity for all. It does not guarantee equal outcomes. You have to work for that. Mm-hmm. But what our country is being turned into with regulations on business that make things so expensive to people, this Obamacare and the outrageous costs that it's going to create for people, it's just, we are coming to the end of our rope. We are going to face a crisis in this country. We are facing a crisis in this country that could result in our being a third world country. If you were to look at what the Federal Reserve has done, they use these big words so people don't understand them, like quantitative easing. Well, quantitative easing is nothing more than borrowing money out of thin air to build debt for future generations that they will never be able to repay. And at the same time, it devalues our dollar so that we are going to wind up with a fiat currency and the dollar won't be worth anything. And anyone who has saved any money and been responsible for taking care of themselves in their older years, they're going to see what, if you have $100,000 in the bank, in 5 years it could be worth 20. Because you just cannot, there is no money tree. And Ben Bernanke has his own imaginary money tree that he just switches figures in an account and says, okay, we've got this much money, Congress, go ahead and spend it, and they do. And there's no accountability. I'm sorry,
hey,
it upsets me a little bit.
I can tell you're passionate, Joe.
I am passionate. I am passionate.
There are a lot of people, though, not only Democrats, there are people within the Republican Party that look upon the Tea Party as being somewhat obstructionist. And you see this, you hear, well, you can see it, and you can also hear about what's happening in the Republican Party, the kind of factions that are being drawn. Without some kind of cohesiveness looking forward to 2016 and electing a new president, do you think that can there be a candidate that everybody can get around, somebody that can bring the party together? Is that person out there?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you're right in calling the Tea Party obstructionists. We intend to obstruct the deceit and lies and programs and wasteful spending that goes on in Washington, yes, we want to obstruct that.
Point of clarification, I didn't call them obstructionists. Somebody else, you know.
I'd be happy to be called an obstructionist,
but we've heard it bandied
if I'm standing up for the Constitution and against what we're seeing in Washington now. And it's not just one party. It's both parties that are in cahoots in doing this.
What's the remedy? What do you think will happen that will get the people who are not swayed?
The remedy is education. The remedy is people looking at our live stream and listening to these experts from all over the country. We're bringing people in from Montana or from California to come and speak, not because we like them, but because they are the most knowledgeable people in their field in this country. And people need to be educated. It's in Washington's best interest to keep everyone uninformed. And then they can get away with all the games that they've been playing for so many years. But if you have an educated populace that truly knows and understands what is happening in Washington, this situation would not be allowed to continue to exist.
What would you say to the, I don't know if it's the average Republican, but what would you say to a Republican who considers himself a mainstream Republican, somebody who's conservative, somebody who doesn't believe in government regulation, somebody who doesn't believe in Obamacare? What would you say to them to say why they should look more into the Tea Party than looking into the, I suppose, the mainstream portion of the Republican Party?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd say to you, have an open mind and try and become educated on the issues. And you need to listen to people who can tell you the truth about what's going on. We have played this game for years and years, and we have followed the mantra of the Republican Party. I would be a stand-up Republican if the Republican Party followed their national platform. I love the national platform of the Republican Party, but they're not following it at all. And they don't follow it in this state as well as the nation. And I measure things on success. I don't give people points for being there and saying present. And show me where the success is. We're at $17 trillion in debt. Our dollar's going to hell. And our borders are not secure. We have changed from a melting pot where people wanted to come to this country to be Americans into a multicultural state with political correctness where we've got all these groups considering themselves as individual groups, not as Americans, fighting at one another for a bigger share of the pie. And the pie doesn't grow when everybody's grabbing morsels of it. So we need to get back to our fundamental, our founding principles. I had an experience this fall that really moved me. I went to James Madison's home, and I sat in the small room, it's a very small room, where he wrote the Bill of Rights. And the Constitution would not have passed if there had not been a Bill of Rights. Those rights are being taken away from us. And people don't know it because of the language that's used. I mean, I could give you so many examples, Tim. You know, we have here something that everybody cheered that just expired this year, this past year, a payroll tax hike. Well, doesn't a payroll tax cut, I should say. The hike was 2 years earlier. Isn't everybody in love with hearing a payroll tax cut? Well, that's not what it is. That's what they call it. But what it is a defunding of Social Security and Medicare, which they have been telling us for years are going broke.
Joe, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second. We need to take a break. We only have a couple minutes when we come back, and I just want to talk to you about some of the upcoming races.
Sure.
Joe Dugan, obviously passionate. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Carolina This Week. Joe Dugan with the Myrtle Beach Tea Party, who is hosting the South Carolina Tea Party Convention next weekend, is with me this morning. And you can find out more about that convention by heading to your website, carolinalive.com, including how to watch it live. A lot of great guests you have coming. I want to talk about the elections that are coming up. Tom Rice, first 7th Congressional District Representative we've had. He's already up for re-election.
Yeah.
Do you think he needs to face any competition in the primary?
I think everybody needs to face competition in the primary. I am very pleased with what I've seen from Tom Rice in his first term. But competition is what keeps your knives honed and keeps you on your toes and reminds you that you do work for the people. That's right. And you're accountable to them. But I am very pleased with what I've seen from Tom Rice in his first term. Something
tells me you won't say the same about Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham, I don't remember Lindsey Graham's first term. I'm told that he was much more conservative in his first term when he was a congressman. But from what I've seen in the Senate of Lindsey Graham, he's no friend of our founding documents. I look at issue after issue after issue, and Lindsey Graham was one of the ones, along with his sidekick, John McCain, wanting to jump into Syria and send arms to Egypt. And what he's doing now with this Gang of 8 with amnesty, there are laws in this country, and that's what keeps the country orderly, is that we live by the rule of law. People that came into this country illegally have broken our law. We cannot just wipe that clean without any penalty. He wants to doesn't want to put up a fence, doesn't want to secure the border, and says that there's some kind of path for citizenship. Well, these people need to go to the back of the line and come to this country legally, as every other immigrant does. And I'm not just talking about Latin Americans coming into this country. I'm talking about from all over the world, including the Middle East.
I want to get on with the because we only have a few minutes left. So we've talked about the 7th District. We've talked about the open Senate, or the Senate race coming up. Now 2016. I know that you get behind presidential candidates, or you at least invite them in to come and have some time here in the area. Who do you like so far that's been talking about 2016? Paul Ryan?
Not so much.
Okay.
Not so much. I like Ted Cruz. I think he's been a man of principle, and he's willing to speak the truth, even in the face of people like Lindsey Graham and John McCain calling them wacko birds. I like Rand Paul. I like Mike Lee. I think we have a number of younger people who are dedicating their lives to the service of this country that we'll be seeing step up.
Could they get the nomination?
Yeah, and I just have to laugh when I hear people talking about someone like Chris Christie getting the nomination. To me, it's just funny. I don't know. It seems like that the Republican Party is really declaring a war on the Tea Party right now when they have the Chamber of Commerce putting up $50 million to campaign against Tea Party candidates. Well, who do they think got Republicans elected in 2010? It wasn't the establishment Republicans. Yeah. And the House was swept by conservative Republicans and Tea Party advocates, and to hear these old hacks like Karl Rove, you know, downgrading the Tea Party is...
We got to make $1 now, Joe. I got to take a break. Thanks for being with me this morning. Your convention comes up next weekend again. CarolinaLive.com. Look for the Tea Party story. You find out all about it.
Been a pleasure, Tim.
All right. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
That's all for Carolina This Week. See you back here next Sunday morning at 11.